Next, we'll turn to Business Operations Committee report, and I'll turn to our Vice Chair, Mr. Blackburn. Mr. Blackburn.
Thank you, Chair Davis. I am joined in this work by our Vice Chair of the Board, Mr. Alan Duncan. Business Operations 1 is appeal from Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. Following a hearing on September 2nd, 2025, the BizOp Appeal Committee moved to recommend to the full Board of Education that extend the grace period for imposing interest on the Winston Board on the outstanding $3.4 million debt to DPI until November 20th, 2025, subject to the Winston Board presenting a good faith repayment plan to the State Board BizOp Appeal Committee on November 4th, 2025, with repayments to start no later than January 20th, 26. I'll pause if anybody has any questions.
One additional point, Mr. Blackburn, is we will vote on this item separate from all our other agenda items.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Oxendine, you had a question?
Thank you very much. I want to take a few minutes, not even a few, maybe just 5 minutes, and kind of get something off my chest, I suppose is one way to frame it. And I want to do it now rather than wait until we begin the voting portion of our meeting. And it relates to BSOP 1, the appeal of the Winston-Salem Forsyth Schools, the presentation before the Appeals Committee a couple of days ago, even though I did not serve on that committee. But I will say, I need to say this to you. If you serve on this board in any capacity, or even anyone else listening or in the audience, I think it is important that you take some time to read the state auditor's report. By no means, my wheelhouse does not include finance. It doesn't include accounting, bookkeeping, but the report was easy enough for me to understand and draw the conclusion that the Board of Education in Winston-Salem Forsyth, in my opinion, I have never met them and I may never meet them, but I do not sense that the board gave consideration over, this didn't happen in 1 year, it was over several years, consideration to protecting the resources of the taxpayers of Forsyth County, or the importance of their role in protecting those resources for the education of the students in that system. Winston-Salem Forsyth is the 4th largest school district in North Carolina and the 81st in the nation. Forsyth County has great universities, great schools, 20th century industrialist, philanthropist in the R.J. Reynolds name, a medical school, a renowned hospital. This board has some work to do, the school board has some work to do to rebuild so that it matches the legacy of Forsyth County. I was appalled in reading the 8 findings, clearly worded. And so it's perhaps mismanagement. I suppose that is one umbrella we can use. Technical systems in place to ensure that the management of the finances happen accurately, on time, and so on and so forth. But a lot of human error occurred as well. A lot of that occurred. The report really needs to be a case study. It needs to be part of every MSA program, principal preparation program in the state. And it needs to serve as an example of how not to govern the resources provided by this great state to schools, how not to manage, how not to govern. It just needs to be a case study that appears in the programs of study and the syllabi of every EPP that prepares school leaders in North Carolina. It could be a textbook in and of itself on school finance. My vote later today is going to reflect the oath that I took in, I think it was April of 2016. I'm sure it was April, not May, or not March. The oath that I took when I joined the State Board of Education. And it's about one thing. That oath is about one item. One, students, children, and all the indirect things that happen to make sure that a child in North Carolina, not just one, but the 1.6 million, receive the services and the essence of the oath that every school board member takes in North Carolina. So my vote coming up later is going to reflect that. If I had a recommendation to make, or suggestion, or discussion with those board members, I think there are 9 of them in Winston-Salem, Forsyth, you know what it would be? It would be to really rethink your oath. It would be maybe to rethink if you really are in the seat you need to be in. And in a practical kind of way, here is my recommendation. They still owe some money. I think maybe $3 million, I'm not sure, something like that. They need to donate if they receive any kind of stipend for service. And I believe most school board members do in North Carolina, not sure. But they need to donate their monthly stipend to help pay off this bill at a minimum. And I've said enough.
Any other comments on the BizOp agenda for today? We're back in session, and the next item on our agenda is the chair's report. We have one item in the chair's report, and that concerns our continuing efforts to support and guide the Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools back to financial health. And recently, our state auditor participated with us in that endeavor by conducting an audit of the Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools, and he released that report with a cover letter recently, which included the statutory language about the local government commission and the State Board of Education working together in terms of an independent audit of the school district. And at this time, I'd like to call on a member of our general counsel team, Mr. Tim Hagemeyer, who has been working on this on our behalf and has engaged with the state auditor's office. So Tim, Mr. Hagemeyer, if you could give us some of the statutory background and then your conversations with the auditor. Thank you.
Absolutely. So as the chair mentioned, the statute that is controlling here is North Carolina General Statute 115C 447, which requires if the State Board of Education makes a finding that there were management failures in a school district, they should call for, or must call for, an independent audit which will look at the internal controls of that school district. The conversation I had with the auditor's office was to determine, so the statute 115C 447 has 2 different parts to it, and depending upon whether the findings were originally identified by the district's auditor during normal annual financial audits, or if they were not uncovered by those annual financial audits, there's 2 different ways that the state board is to proceed. One way is to go back, if they were uncovered in previous financial audits, then the process is to go through the auditor that was employed by the school district to do a re-review of those internal controls. If those findings were not found by the auditor, the annual auditor, then the statute calls for the state board, together with the LGC, to employ a independent auditor to do a look at the internal controls of those of the school unit. So my conversation with the auditor's office this morning was to determine which findings in their special report they felt were not uncovered by the audit, the previous auditor. And our conversation, from that conversation, the following findings were not uncovered. It was their opinion of that. The first finding was the districts failed to adjust the full-time equivalent staffing despite a decrease in student population. The second finding was the district used temporary COVID-era funds to pay staff salaries and did not remove positions when the temporary aid ended. And the district regularly approved purchase orders that exceeded its account budgets and did not later revise these budgets. The conversation I had with the auditor's office did not go through absolutely every finding. The conversation ended shortly after looking at those findings because the statute only calls for identifying one finding that the previous auditors did not uncover. And if that is the case, then the statute calls for the state board and the LGC to employ an independent auditor to look at the internal controls.
Thank you, Mr. Hagemeyer. Any questions of Mr. Hagemeyer on the statutory authority and the conversations with the state auditor office? Vice Chair Duncan?
This is only a comment to say it should not be implied necessarily that the previous outside auditor missed something that they were supposed to be looking at by these findings, because these findings by the state auditor are different. And I think a clarification of that type might be appropriate to be said.
Thank you. In addition, I would comment that the audit of the 2024-25 school year is currently being conducted. So these findings by the state auditor, I assume, are for previous year's audit findings, audit reports, as opposed to the most recent school year, which we do not yet have, or the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board does not yet have their audit report.
That's correct.
Any other comments? Okay. In addition, I would add, the Forsyth County Board, in conversations I've had with their leadership, and I believe I speak for this board in saying this, we really need that local audit to be completed in a timely fashion. I know they recently got an extension, districts did, till December. We really need that audit report completed in October. If there's any way for them to comply with that. So with what Mr. Hagemeyer has presented, I'll read a motion that we'll put before the board for consideration in our action agenda in a few moments. And that motion reads that the State Board of Education, based on the state auditor's special report on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, finds that there are incidents of mismanagement failures within the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, which make it appropriate to review the district's internal controls per NCGS 115C-447B, and that the staff of the Department of Public Instruction shall coordinate with the Local Government Commission to identify an audit firm to carry out this review and bring the selected firm and engagement letter back to the State Board for approval at its October meeting. Any questions on that motion? Okay, then that concludes the chairman's report. and all of our committee reports for the day, and we'll now vote on any action required action from your committee reports. Recall that any item on the consent agenda is primarily not complex and may have come to the board in previous month. At this time, I ask if there's a request to remove any item besides Biz Op 1 and the chairman's report, which we voted on separately, to vote separately from that's currently on our action agenda. Any other items to have a separate vote? Hearing none, I request a motion to approve the following: the State Board of Education draft meeting minutes, August 6 through August 6 and 7, 2025, SLA 1 and 2, and 8 and 9, Biz Op 2 through 6, and 8 and 9, and the 80 limited license and 4 initial professional license approval requests that we discussed in closed session. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Kamnitz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Mason. Any discussion?
To be sure, BSOP 1 is removed.
Yes, it's not in the motion. Mr. Fafaria.
Dr. Oxnard.
Yes.
Ms. Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Keenan.
Yes.
Mr. Hall. Dr. Mason.
Yes.
Mr. Blackburn.
Yes.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Treasurer Bryant.
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Hunt.
Yes.
Vice Chair Duncan.
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes. Motion carries. We'll now turn to Biz Op 1, and I remind the audience and those listening that Ms. Moore has recused herself from Biz Op 1. This comes to us obviously from the Biz Op Committee, and I'll turn to Mr. Blackburn to remind us of the motion on this item.
Yes, sir. Following a hearing on September 2nd, 2025, the Biz Op Appeal Committee moved to recommend to the full State Board of Education that it extend the grace period for imposing interest on the Winston Board on the outstanding $3.4 million debt to DPI until November 20, 2025, subject to the Winston Board presenting a good faith repayment plan to the State Board Biz Op Appeal Committee on November 4, 2025, with repayments to start no later than January 20th, 2026.
Okay, motion by Mr. Blackburn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Kamnitz. Any discussion?
I would like to propose an amendment to the motion.
Treasurer?
In the spirit of there's no such thing as free money, I would like to amend the motion to add an interest charge at a lower rate between now and December. And so my motion to amend would be, I move to amend the BSOP Appeal Committee's motion to provide for interest to begin accruing as of October 1st on the outstanding debt at the rate of 0.4% per month, which matches the state's borrowing rate, pending any modification at the State Board's November 2025 meeting.
Motion by the treasurer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the vice chair. Any discussion on the amended motion or amendment to the motion? Hearing none, Mr. Fafaria?
Dr. Oxnard.
No.
Ms. Cannon.
No.
Mr. Keenan.
No.
Mr. Hall. Dr. Mason.
Yes.
Mr. Blackburn.
No.
Ms. Moore. She is recused. Treasurer Bryant.
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Hunt.
Yes.
Vice Chair Duncan.
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes. Motion carries 5-4. So that amendment now modifies the main motion, and we'll return to the main motion as amended. Give Ms. Fafaria a chance to share that amended motion. Okay, so now we're back to the amended motion, and I'll turn to Mr. Blackburn to read that into the record.
Thank you, Chair. The amended motion is the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools will be charged interest to accrue beginning October 1, 2025, at the rate of 0.4% per month on the outstanding $3,409,545.33 debt to the state, subject to the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Board of Education presenting a good faith repayment plan to the State Board of Education BizOp Appeal Committee on November 4, 2025, with repayments to start no later than January 20th, 2026.
Motion by Mr. Blackburn, is there a second?
Second.
Second by the treasurer. Any discussion? Mr. Fafaria?
Dr. Oxendine,
No.
Ms. Candis,
No.
Mr. Keenan. No. Mr. Hall, Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Blackburn,
No.
Treasurer Bryant,
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chair Duncan,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes, motion carries 5-4. That takes us to our final item on our action agenda, and I believe, Ms. Moore, you would want to recuse yourself from this item as well.
I will, thank you.
Okay, yes, let the record reflect. Okay, this deals with in the chair's report, the report we received from Mr. Hagermeyer concerning the state auditor's special report on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. I now ask for a motion to this effect, that the State Board of Education, based on the state auditor's special report on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, finds that there are incidents of mismanagement failures within the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools that make it appropriate to review the district's internal controls, Board North Carolina General Statute 115C-447B, and that the staff of the Department of Public Instruction shall coordinate with the local government commission to identify an audit firm to carry out this review and bring the selected firm an engagement letter back to the State Board for approval at its October meeting. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Kamnitz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Oxendine. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Fafaria?
Dr. Oxendine,
Yes.
Ms. Candis,
Yes.
Mr. Keenan,
Yes.
Mr. Hall, Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Blackburn,
Yes.
Treasurer Bryant,
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chair Duncan,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. So that concludes our action agenda. Before we leave, I want to make one statement. The steps we just took concerning the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School were difficult decisions, similar in many ways to the difficult decisions that lie before the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board. Our intent is solely focused on trying to return that district to a healthy financial position in order to carry out and deliver our constitutional responsibilities to a sound education for every student in Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. That is our objective. And we look forward to working with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board and returning them to a state of financial health and working with them to raise the academic achievement of their students. So thanks to all who participated in making this meeting a successful one. Our next meeting will be on October 1st and 2nd, 2025, and we look forward to working together in the 1st of October. I now call for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Keenan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Oxendine. Mr. Fafaria?
Dr. Oxendine,
Yes.
Ms. Candis,
Yes.
Mr. Keenan,
Yes.
Mr. Hall, Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Blackburn,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Treasurer Bryant,
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chair Duncan,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes, we're adjourned. Have a good day.